Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Snap Judgment review. What is a Snap Judgment review? If you've never watched or listened before, a Snap Judgment review is where I think that a lot of game reviewers, they tend to kind of forget how fun the game is right off the bat, or not fun the game is right off the bat, because they get caught up with completing the entire game and a 100% completion rate. So I get about 5 to 10 hours with the game. I'm just trying to give you an idea whether you're going to like it right off the bat or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I won't give a score on these reviews. Instead, I'll tell you what overview of the game. I will then give you a list of the pros and the cons of the game, in my point of view, as all reviewers are. And then I will tell you whether I personally will be sticking with this game outside the purposes of this video. So, what am I reviewing today with all those disclaimers out of the way? I am reviewing Lethal Company. This is kind of like, well, I don't know, like a hit, like a kind of fly-by-night indie hit on Steam. A buddy of mine actually bought it for me, so big shout out to Aether Dios. Brian, thank you for purchasing this game for me so that I could play it. It was just kind of an out-of-the-blue nice thing, so I figured I'd do a review for it. I also played it with him and Genesia Blue, so thanks to them for helping me play the game for the first time and giving me my first experience to it. I also want to say that I do not have 5 hours in this game. I know that's usually my threshold for these games, but I'm pretty sure if you play, you'll understand. You see everything the game has to offer in the first 30 minutes of playing it. And in fairness, that's not a bad thing. Really isn't with this one. So what is Lethal Company? Well, Lethal Company is kind of like a multiplayer horror scrapping game. It's kind of low-res graphics. You are first person as a character. You then land on a procedurally generated planet with 1 to 3 of your friends. And then you have to proceed onto that planet. You have to proceed into a facility. You have to gather things, pieces of junk or whatnot, to bring them back to the ship. Meanwhile, there is a cadre of weird, messed up, creepy creatures just running around in and around the facility, trying to eat you, kill you, other such things. Some of them are even friendly. Some of them will just move right after you. Some of them are deaf. Some of them are blind. And you have to kind of figure out what you're fighting and what you're up against, although that very rarely happens, and you usually end up just running around until you get killed. What you do then is there are 3 rounds of this. You drop down to a planet, take off, drop down to a planet, take off, about 3 rounds of it before you have to return to what's called the company and deposit your supplies. Those supplies have to equal a profit margin, and if they don't, well, game over. If they do, you just get a higher profit margin and get to do it again. And that's the game. Just rinse and repeat. One thing I definitely want to point out, which I will be pointing out in the pros section, the audio is all ambient. That's not the right word, but basically, like, you can only hear people when they're close to you. You can only hear things when they're close to you. The what's happening in the game is reflected in the audio that you're hearing, which makes this game really interesting and all the more creepy. You can also buy some certain supplies that can help you out, such as walkie-talkies to talk to each other from long distances, flashlights, and other little accoutrements that may help you in the field. But again, those come out of your money, your profits, so it hurts you in the long run. And yeah, other than that, the low-res graphics really kind of give you this feel of creepiness, even more so than higher end graphics would be. And it's just this weird indie game that's very interesting. But there's not much else to this, but that in itself can create a lot of fun, which we'll get into. So let's go ahead and dive into the pros and the cons. The first pro, without a doubt, has to be the audio work on this game. It is absolutely the best audio work I have ever seen in a game. I would honestly go so far as to say groundbreaking. This game is so great at you can hear somebody when they're close and you can't hear them far away. Plus, many of the monsters refer respond to sound. One of the other things that I absolutely love is there are games like this where like your sound, you can only hear people talk when you're close. You only have that proximity chat. But this one actually changes the pitch of your voice depending on what's happening. If you're standing in a big open gorge, your voice will echo louder than normal. If you have a giant pill bug trying to eat your head, you'll be muffled when talking. That kind of stuff is just so cool. I thought the audio in this really, really, really makes the game. It adds to that level of creepiness. I am not a horror guy, and this definitely like got me a couple of times without a doubt because of this audio work. This audio work is just absolutely phenomenal. My next pro is the fun factor. I am definitely going to have some cons coming up because this is definitely an indie game. This is a very indie game. But I do like the run and get stuff, try to survive kind of mentality of it, and the fact that you're truly just trying to get in and out. There is a fun to it that I wasn't expecting. When it was explained to me by Aether, honestly, I was like, well, I'll play it with you, but that doesn't sound fun. But this is really fun, and there are just great moments where you walk around a tree, and then all of a sudden there's just this giant monster in front of you, and you're just trying to run from it, and there's no way you're going to escape. Yeah, other times when you kind of like draw the monster away from your friend, or you see your friend running around. I thought one of the coolest things is your dead body is worth money. So if you die and somebody grabs you and brings you back to the ship, it actually counts as money for your profit margin. I think that's really cool. And yeah, it is just a fun game. It's just a fun experience. So let's hit the cons. The cons. Well, the low res graphics is interesting, and it does make it more scary. But I do want to say there is this level of, they definitely wanted you to figure out what the creatures do, how the creatures act, and then try to kind of like use that information to survive. I didn't see a whole lot of that. And I don't see a whole lot of that on streams. I think that kind of feel was lost. And I'm not exactly sure if it's because of low-res graphics or if it's because of just kind of the nature of people. But like there are certain creatures that can only hear you. There are certain creatures that can only see you. And like they want you to kind of like try to avoid the creatures using those things. And really what it boils down to is you landing on a planet, not doing any research, running off the ship, heading into the factory, and then getting killed, basically. So I don't know that comes off the way they want it to, and that is kind of unfortunate. My last con would have to be just how hard it is. It's really, really hard. It's hard to make the profit margin. It's hard to even survive a trip. And it is left so totally up to random chance. It's like the procedural generation is all over the place. So like you can get a map where there's almost no monsters on it, and then you can get a map where it's just like you walk outside and it's just bee infested giants. Like, so which is I think what they were going for, but at the same time it can be a little frustrating to go to 3 different planets and not be able to get anything and just get immediately murdered, especially if that's your first time running through it. That could be rough for you. So whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I'm definitely going to play this with my friends when they want to play. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. It's also a break from the very narrative or intense story-driven experiences that not story-driven experiences, but open-world experiences and story-driven experiences and all that kind of stuff that I usually end up playing. It's just a nice, fun, wacky multiplayer horror game that I'm enjoying. So yeah. So did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You can let me know in the comments below. You can also contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on X at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'll see you guys next time.